D-Lo 404 boxing here. Alright, so I got something to say about all this stuff I've been seeing and hearing Anthony Joshua say right on cue, as usual, when Deontay Wilder has a fight lined up, has made it official. Eddie Hearn comes out talking about the fight and about what they should do or shouldn't be doing and so forth and so on. And then Anthony Joshua, right on cue behind him, comes out and starts talking about what he'll do to Deontay Wilder should they fight, and starts talking about how they need to fight and it needs to happen sooner than later. But yet none of this is said when neither guy is tied up. So Anthony Joshua, when asked in the Sky Sports interview, basically he was being asked, and I understand if he's been asked a question, he has to answer those questions. You know, I understand that. But I also understand that a lot of times when Anthony Joshua, he has some control over what questions are asked in these interviews. But when asked about the Dominic Breazeale Deontay Wilder fight and how Wilder dispatched Dominic Breazeale in one round, and he dispatched of him, and it took several rounds before he got rid of Dominic Breazeale, Anthony Joshua's response was, well, Deontay Wilder has so many more fights than me, and when I get to 40-something fights, I should be knocking guys out in one round as well. Okay, first of all, my response to that is the comparison on how one guy does against a guy versus how another guy does against a guy. I mean, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because there have been a lot of like case in point. If you look at George Foreman versus Joe Frazier, and he dispatched of him with ease in 2 fights. George Foreman dispatched Joe Frazier with ease in 2 fights. Muhammad Ali had 3 wars with Joe Frazier. Ali beat George Foreman. So, in essence, you're still making a triangle theory. And basically, triangle theories don't always hold weight in boxing because styles make fights. So, Anthony Joshua he's basically like defending something that he shouldn't even feel compelled to defend. You know, he should, I mean, basically Deontay Wilder did a good job, congratulate him, move on. I mean, it's like he overanalyzes, he's stressed, but he put that pressure on himself prior to the fight happening, because he was saying something about Deontay Wilder being more impressive against Dominic Breazeale than him, and he didn't want that to happen. But anyway, the other thing I want to talk about was, AJ saying that Wilder has all this experience, and basically saying that, now he does want to fight, and he wants the fight to happen sooner than later, and he thinks he stops Wilder in 6 rounds. He says that now. A couple years ago, he said he stops him in 3 rounds, but we're not even going to mess with that. But I do remember when Anthony Joshua got stopped by Andy Ruiz, he actually had the nerve to say out of his mouth that he wished it had been Deontay Wilder who stopped him. So I have to question the validity of his confidence when it comes to fighting Deontay Wilder. Do I want Anthony Joshua to be confident and want to fight and want to make the fight? Of course I do. I want to see the fight. But I've always felt like Anthony Joshua was the one shy about making a fight because of his own statements and his actions. Deontay Wilder said he wanted to fight Anthony Joshua, wanted to fight the winner of Joshua versus Klitschko, went there, called the fight, and got ignored ringside when Anthony Joshua won the fight. He talked about wanting to fight Tyson Fury. And then when he was interviewed weeks later, I think it was by Sky Sports, he was sitting on a ring apron. This young lady interviewing him. I think it was her and John, what's the guy's name? Johnny Nelson. I think Johnny Nelson and some young lady interviewed him, but I may be wrong about Nelson being there. But anyway, that's when he said he'd fight Deontay Wilder when he feels like he's in the best position to win. He said Deontay Wilder has all this experience. And he was like, basically, you guys want me to fight Klitschko, Wilder, Mike Tyson, Wilder again. And, he was talking about all this, basically making excuses about how he's not ready to fight Deontay Wilder without saying it. He said he won't be forced into a Wilder fight. But the ironic thing about that is he had just fought Wladimir Klitschko, who had even more experience than Deontay Wilder. Klitschko had about 20 more fights, 20 to 25 more fights than Deontay Wilder did. But Anthony Joshua wasn't shy about fighting him. You know, it's not about the experience. It's about the man tied to the experience. It's Deontay Wilder himself that Anthony Joshua has reservations about. It's not about Deontay Wilder, his championship fights. It's not about the number of total fights he has. It's not about the fact that Deontay Wilder came to the sport, you know, earlier than him. None of that stuff. It's Deontay Wilder himself that Anthony Joshua has reservations about fighting. And if he's getting over those reservations and he's confident and sure about wanting to make the fight, I'm all for it, because I want to see the fight. And I want to see the fight so bad that I don't care where they fighting at, what time zone, how much the pay-per-view is, that I'm going to make 100% sure that I'm able to tune in and watch that fight. And if it's somewhere within geographical, you know, that makes sense geographically for me to travel to the fight, and the price range is affordable on the ticket, I'd definitely go. But I'm pretty sure those tickets would be sky high, and I have a limit on how much money I'm willing to spend to watch boxing, especially when you got to figure in travel and all of that. So either way, I really look forward to the fight. I hope this fight can get made sooner than later. I hope Anthony Joshua keeps the same energy when Deontay Wilder is available to fight him, and when he also is available himself. Because let's not get it twisted, Anthony Joshua has 2 mandatories that have basically come due right now, and both sanctioning bodies are basically saying they want Anthony Joshua to fight their mandatory, and that's the WBO. I think it's the one that wants Usyk, the Usyk fight order, and the IBF wants Pulev. You know, so it looks like Pulev is going to get the call. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, but I just find it odd that suddenly that Deontay Wilder has a fight next month. Anthony Joshua ready to go. But we'll see how it all plays out. D-Lo404 Boxing, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Big shout out to Marlo's Corner Trades and the whole block fam. Shout out to the LDBC. I'm out. Peace.